So, Megan, you have an incredible story. You are a mom of three, you're an author, you're also a dancer with a really fascinating background. Now, you decided to leave dance essentially behind and move into this path that you're on now, being an author. We're going to talk about your book, really successful book, and you've done a lot of this on your own. But let's talk about the dance first. What was it that led you into dance?
I honestly, it's just been my whole life. I was 3 years old when my VHS tapes started, being passed around the family, and I'm shaking my booty to Billy Idol, "Rock the Cradle of Love." I love telling people that story because my mom loved it. But I just danced all through, my youth, and then a little bit in college. I didn't finish college, but then I quickly decided after college I'm going to try out for some teams. So I got into like the arena football and NFL and those kind of the cheerleaders, but they're technically dancers. Those teams, and I opened a dance studio, which was totally a move of God that He was able to pull that together at such a young age for me. Because financially, so thankful that my godmother kind of backed it, and it was great. But with NFL, AFL, having friends who worked for talent agencies in Atlanta, and then working for a dance competition, you just network so much. The dance community is a really truly a strong community. And you just get opportunities. So I've had opportunities to kind of go and dance with bigger names, whether they knew me or not. That's okay. I get to say like, oh, I was on the field with, Ludacris, or I was on the field with Usher. A lot of it came through NFL, AFL, and just connections with the dance companies that my friends all were agented with. So that's been a big part of my life. Definitely dance has shaped so much of me. And it was crazy to walk away from it. I still can't believe it'll actually be this July. It'll be 1 year, and I'm 37. So I've been dancing for 33 years. And we knew when it was time to kind of like wrap it up and move on. But it's been a season of change.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Swift, you go through the list of the names of people that you've danced for and around, and it's very interesting. And for a lot of people, they would be in that, they would be experiencing the success of it, and it would be very difficult, even if they felt God calling them out, to actually listen. What was it that made you listen to the call out of it?
Well, to be honest, the performing days when we were doing the concerts, and it's so funny when people mention Taylor Swift because I'm like, she doesn't know who I am. And I really get to show my age when I'm like, guys, like, we're talking, these are like, I'm dancing back up at a concert that she opened for, and she's like teardrops on my guitar in it. Okay. It's not like what you're seeing now, but I was really being pulled when I was doing the professional dancing. I was being pulled towards the studio. And we gave the studio everything. We really did. We had a great time, a lot of life lessons, but I started my best friend actually passed away when I was 24. She had glioblastoma, and it was a terrible, aggressive cancer. And there was a lot of grief in that and a lot of trauma. And to be honest, I feel like my Christian walk was more about checking boxes off. What, God, I'm going to open my Bible and you just give me something that I need today. Like, what will fulfill me? Not like, let me read it in context and let me pray and seek. And so to have such a great trauma of that loss, it started really affecting how I was working at the studio with kids and with interacting with parents, because it's all communication, it's all relationship. And I'm doing this grief walk without God by my side because I've been checking the church box. Like, I go, I tithe, I'm good. I've checked it off. So it really wasn't until I had Stella, which is my oldest, in 2017, and my heart started to shift as a mom, and I really felt that pull of God saying, like, I want higher for your family. I want more for your family. I want more for your kids. I love them more than you love them. And that was like, and then my mom passed in 2020. And that was for me kind of the it moment, because mom was my seamstress, my front desk girl. We did dance together for all these years. She loved it. She was the ultimate dance mom. And I knew God was calling us out. We had to just obey the call. It was hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You have all those things going on. Then you're doing this big life change, right? Where you're saying, okay, I'm going to leave this thing I've always known my entire life. And
Yes.
what's so crazy is you ended up going into publishing. You ended up publishing your book, Rosie Finds Her Shine, Rosie the Reindeer. And,
Yes.
you know, it's interesting to me because you didn't go the traditional publisher route. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and 2, I think it's cool that, God really took that seed of dance that he planted in me, and he kind of, like, let it evolve into another dream where I'm still able to tap into the dance side with Rosie being a dancer, but yeah, I chose to go self-publishing route over traditional because there's a couple reasons, but I was very green. When mom passed, this was a script that my team as a studio collaborated on in 2011, and my mom loved it. She was like, Megan, that has to be a children's book. And I'm like, I'm not qualified to do that. Like, you tell yourself all the reasons you can't do
Right.
something. We very rarely root for ourselves from the very get go. And so I held on to this seed for years and we prayed and I would talk to my husband. I would have something really stressful go down at the studio and I would be like, I'm done with this. I'm going to write that book. And he was like, you should write the book, and it was crazy, but when mom passed, it sounds weird, but it's like death awakened something in my soul because I was like, I have got to do all these things because I'm not guaranteed this time with my children. I'm not guaranteed more time with any of my family. So self publishing made sense because I could get it out when I wanted it to get out. I didn't want my manuscript to sit on a desk in a submission pile for 2 to 3 years on average, which is what they tell you. And then I didn't want my story to maybe be somebody else's opportunity to creep in and make it their storyline. Like this has got my family in it, my blood, sweat, and tears, my grief project. My mom is in this book, so I wanted to be able to voice that. And I was kind of scared that a traditional publisher might say, "Well, we don't need the Bible quote in this illustration, and it's a reindeer. That's a little too Christian." Or you have the Christian side that might be like, "Well, reindeer, that's pagan. Celebrating Christmas, those are pagan holidays." So I just kind of had to be like, "Okay, God, what mold are we?" And He was like, "You're my mold. I'll do what I want to do if you'll let me do it." Yeah.
And you did let him do it, and you put this book out again, Rosie Finds Her Shine, Rosie the Reindeer, and this book, which I love that it's obviously Christmas themed, and we'll get into that in a moment. But you sold thousands of copies of this book on your own. You sold more copies than most people sell with a publisher. Obviously, faith is a big part of your life and who you are, but it was a big part of this process as well. Were you shocked or surprised to see how successful the book was? Again, on your own without a publisher.
Yes and no. I know that sounds weird, but I joined a lot of self-publishing groups on Facebook. So if anybody's looking to do that, there are a lot of good ones out there, and there are some powerhouses in the self-publishing space. I know people that will get on there that have sold. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of their copies, and they're utilizing Amazon and their own websites, and they're traveling and doing their own marketing. Um, I was very shocked that when I first got on there, people would be like, "Oh, if you sell 100 books your first year, you're doing amazing. Like that's such a feat." And I looked at my husband and I was like, "Oh, we're not doing this for 100 copies. Like if we do this, if we're walking away from the dance, we're homeschooling, we're emptying our savings, like drained my 401k. I call it the 401k. I'm like, we're all in. Like we're taking this, big." And he was like, 100% yes. So I actually didn't sell as many copies on Amazon as most self publishers do because they really lean into Amazon, and I don't find it I don't understand all the backside of Amazon. It's a lot of detail. So to do it on my own, I couldn't do SEO and build a website and run social media and book a book tour and also feed my 3 children. It was just too much. I was like, I'm just gonna not lean on Amazon as much, and I focused on every contact in my contact list. I did a Kickstarter campaign, which was really pretty user friendly. I don't know that I'd do it again, but I enjoyed it for my very first self-published book. If anybody's out there looking for that, um, I just started contacting everybody, and all of the local community support was amazing because people were reaching out, going, "Come to this school, come to this corporate event, do this birthday party. The hospital's calling, come read to the kids. Hey, will you come to a nursing home?" I just joked with someone yesterday. I was like, "Listen, if someone down the road would have been like, 'Hey, we've got a yard sale down here. It's going to be from 8 to 11. You want to come read your book?'" I was like, "Yes, I'll be there in 10 minutes." So we just peddled it really hard. And then our big turning point was we went into trade shows and wholesale, and we started getting into boutiques. And that's where sales really skyrocketed because I can meet boutiques in person. And Rosie got into about 54 boutiques by the end of her second season. And most of them are online selling, which is great. So they're pushing the product. And yeah, it just from there we took a year off because everybody was exhausted, and now we're rebooting, relaunching, and we've got a team behind us this time. So I'm excited to see where it goes this time with help.
Yeah. Well, all right. So obviously, Christmas is that one season where people are always looking for something new, something powerful, something fun for their family to take in, and something I think for Christian parents that has, you know, something beyond just, the fun of Christmas, the deeper meaning of it, those Bible quotes. What is your end goal for Rosie Finds Her Shine? What do you want to see happen with not just the book, but the character itself?
I have so many things I want to say, and I have to keep it short because I love talking about her. But yeah, so with Rosie Finds Her Shine, I call it my Trojan horse because every kid is going to pick it up whether they're a faith based family or not. They think it's just Christmas, a reindeer. And you get into the heart of the story, and it's really about how each one of us has our own unique gift that only we bring to the table, and we can't live by comparison. And so, a little rundown of the story, like Rosie's the kid sister to the most famous reindeer of all, but her nose doesn't glow and she doesn't want to fly the sleigh. So, Rosie goes through this journey of having to find what makes her shine. And so, she's got some scriptures on her little activity board. My illustrator did the whole book to look like a child was doodling. So it's pretty cool. There's a fun twist ending. And if you love the classic most famous reindeer of all, you're going to love the spinoff even more. I promise you that. But these books are going to go into homes because I can get into the public school space and I can push this truth, this God truth of God made you who you are. They don't always let me say God in the public school space. Some schools have, but they take it home. They've got in the pages that we've got scripture in here. We've got our platform, and our end goal with Rosie is to be a series, a whole North Pole with all these characters you've never even thought about. But every single story has a biblical truth, not necessarily a parable, but a truth. Like our next character is a male character when he comes out in 2025, and he's an unlikely candidate to do something, but he makes himself willing. So he's a vessel. So we kind of tie that in. And so each story that we set up, we want to continue to build in that, like, hey, this is just a normal dancing reindeer, but God uses her, and he can use you too. You just got to shine in the gifting that he wants you to do.
I love that. All right, final question for you. Your journey leaving dance behind, moving into this with three kids, a family, all of the chaos. Look, that's scary. It could have gone either way, and yet you leaned in and you trusted. What has all of this, now that you can kind of look back? I mean, you're still in it, but you can kind of look back. What has it taught you about trust in God?
Um, this is an ongoing theme. I'm sure you understand that. It's every day. I mean, even 2 days ago, I'm going to be transparent with you. Anybody can self publish a book and you can do it for as little money as you want, or you can go really big. Some of you are going to do traditional. Um, but for us to do self and to know financially what it was going to do, we've had to sit down and go, this could break us. Like, the kids' savings is gone, our savings is gone. What are we going to do? And it is every day of Luke and I, that's my husband, reminding one another that we are just walking on the waves and we can't look to the right or the left at the storm. You just have to look right ahead. Just look right ahead, because you are going to feel the shake of the waves around you because you willingly stepped out of the boat, willingly stepped out. So you just have to know that turbulence and that motion, it's coming for you, but look forward. And I'm so thankful that we have one another to remind each other of that, because you need a strong spouse to do anything like this, because this is a crazy thing we're doing. It's a God thing.
Well, and it's paying off and it's exciting and there's so much more to come. Where can people go if they want to get more on Rosie and pick up copies of the book?
Yeah. Okay. So we have an awesome website, lifeisrosie.co. Lots of little areas there that you can find free downloads. We've got a Teachers Pay Teachers platform coming out. Our Shopify store goes live on July 1st for pre-orders for the second edition of the book. We're getting our dolls up and everything like that. We got a great Instagram, lifeisrosie.co. You can join the launch team. We've actually got a little Google Doc linked to our website, and we're going to do prizes and stuff for everybody who joins the launch team. It's just going to be big, you guys. If just our little corner of the world loved it so much, like 13,000 copies. I'm peddling books at the Kroger parking lot most days. I'm telling you, like, when you open your heart and your home to this story, you won't let it go. You will not let it go.
Well, I love that. And it's so inspiring to hear the journey you've been on to see what God has done. Appreciate you taking the time and joining us today.
Well, I'm so thankful that you had me on, Billy.